the jungle. I'm Matt Edwards. Thanks for tuning in. It is Wednesday morning, recording this at about 6:30 a.m. If you're watching on YouTube, yes, I look like garbage. I look like I just got out of prison. I don't sound my best to anyone, but we're working on it. Plan to get this done on Tuesday. Didn't work out that way. That is fine. Everything we're going to go over here still relevant today. I know we live in a world where we like to get things immediately, and I get that, but there's a lot to get to here. I'm going to touch on Monday night's preseason game with Washington. I had planned to go over the whole AFC North today, but it just doesn't make sense because I got to get into this Trey Hendrickson thing. That's what today's episode is about. I typically don't talk about contracts, right? Like last year, I didn't really talk about Jamar because I knew it would get done. Didn't talk about Shamar Stewart this summer because I knew it would get done. But this Trey Hendrickson thing, you're starting to wonder at what point do the Bengals give in? Because it's really the only argument you can make at this point. It's not something I thought we would still be talking about in late August, yet here we are. Here we are, Trey Hendrickson hanging out on the sidelines at a preseason game, doing in-game. It's an odd situation, right? Like you've got the team and the player and the agent at a dispute here over guaranteed money apparently, and yet you have the player traveling to away games in the preseason, donning team gear, wearing the Bengals B on his hat, and speaking very kindly about the franchise. Talking it out like they're a couple amicable neighbors trying to figure out who should pay for trimming the tree. Like it's the most unusual. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for all sides. And really, I think it works to Trey's advantage because a lot of times these things can get a little nasty. This has been not nasty at all. It's been very cordial. It's refreshing in a way. It's odd in a way. It's like the friendliest contract dispute I can remember. And that's why I think that I'm going to go into like a whole list of reasons here. I don't know why I'm holding this football, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, Super Bowl 52 ball. Got this whole different story. But anyways, let's go over this. I don't like to talk about contracts. It's kind of boring, but I think at some point when you watch this Bengals defense in the preseason, we'll get to that too, but you watched it last year in the regular season. You need this guy. He might be the most important defensive player to his team in the league. I don't know that, I'm not going to sit here and act like I follow the Arizona Cardinals closely. Maybe they've got someone they really need. Maybe somewhere else there's someone but Trey Hendrickson's got to be a top 5 guy in terms of this team needs him on defense. Like, that's who they got. That's what they got. We don't know. There's a lot of guys that could be very important. I talk about Cam Taylor-Britt all the time. Logan Wilson's important. Not looking great in the preseason so far. BJ Hill's important, but none of them are as important as the guy who has registered 35 sacks the last 2 years. So let's get into it. Because it's about the guaranteed money. That's what he told ESPN's Laura Rutledge on the sidelines on Monday night. So I decided to look at who's got the most guaranteed money as a pass rusher in the NFL. TJ Watt just got paid a lot in Pittsburgh, right? $108 million, 108 guaranteed, 9 figures guaranteed. After him, Myles Garrett, he requested a trade this offseason before the Browns whipped out the checkbook for him. Myles Garrett has $89 million guaranteed. These numbers according to Sport Track. Nick Bosa, you know him, former Ohio State Buckeye, playing out west for the 49ers, $88 million guaranteed. Right? So those 3 guys, I think we would all agree that Hendrickson's in that same tier as them as far as pass rushing goes. Minimum there for those 3, $88 million guaranteed. Trey Hendrickson's current contract, 1 year left on it, only guarantees him $8 million. I can hold up that many fingers. $8 million, well, not $8 million, but $8 million. Just the singular. I want to make sure you're hearing me right. 8, like Jeff Blake, just 8. Okay? 35 sacks the last 2 years. That's the easy part, though, right? That's the simple, he's got all these sacks. He wants an extension. He deserves an extension. You're really hoping to get that final contract. You're 31 years old, coming up in December. He wants that final number. The Bengals' kind of position has always been, well, these guys get older. We don't pay them once they're past 30, not with the big money. Look, TJ Watt and the Steelers were in a contract standoff this year. We all dislike the Steelers, probably, if you're listening to the show, but the fact remains they've been pretty darn good at handing out contracts and knowing when to let guys walk and when to say, hey, this is a position, this is a person this is someone we need on this team. Let's go ahead and whip out the checkbook. So Trey Hendrickson, he'll be 31 this year. He's actually 2 months younger than TJ Watt. Just a year older than Myles Garrett. We're not in 1994 anymore where guys hit 30 and they just fall off a cliff, right? Like, George Costanza's not around anymore. George Costanza was like 28 when Seinfeld started. Now he looked 41. Like, that's not the world we're living in anymore. And the Bengals, they've done a great job this last half decade of getting within the current times, moving on from the 90s. One thing they don't seem to realize is that 30 years old in 2025 is not 30 years old as it was in 1995. Very different things. Guys know how to take care of themselves. Tom Brady and LeBron changed the game when it comes to, hey, here's what you do. Here's how you eat. You watch that final, what was it called? The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary that we all loved during COVID. Those guys are drinking Miller Lights after the game. Miller Lights after the game. They don't do that anymore. You have avocados and a chia seed shake and you take care of yourself because you've got all this money on the table. That's how it works now. The Bengals need to realize that, I mean, you hear it all the time, like, 40 is the new 30. That's true. I'm 36. I ran a half marathon on a whim Friday. It's because I can go on the internet and see, hey, you can eat decent and train well for a few months. People have more information now than they do ever, and Trey Hendrickson, by all measures, is taking great care of himself. So that's what these athletes do now. And that's something else, like, he's got the personality to do that. There are some guys that you wonder, hey, if you give them $100 million, they're going to go out there and they're going to start eating pizza and cheeseburgers. He's not that guy, right? There's no issues with him. If there's character concerns anywhere, he's not one of them. I mean, he's in a contract standoff and he's showing up at practice, replacing the guys you drafted, or coaching up the guys you replaced to draft him. What else do you want? Like, this is a guy you want to finish his career in Cincinnati. You want him to be a lifelong ambassador for the franchise. Like, isn't that worth a few extra $1 million at this point? I guess it's not a few million, it's a lot of million. But why not? Why would you not pay this guy? That's what I don't understand right now. The only thing we can really come up with is they spent a lot of money. He's going to be 31 this year. Okay. It's just, I mean, finish his career in Cincinnati. He could be a Ring of Honor guy. He might already be a Ring of Honor guy. He becomes a lifelong ambassador for the franchise. They don't have a lot of those on defense. Like, when you see Boomer Esiason on TV, you think Bengals. He still stumps for the Bengals. When you see Ocho Cinco out there on Twitter or whatever he's doing on his Twitch stream, he's still a Cincinnati Bengal. Like, and I'm not saying that Trey is going to get anywhere close to those guys, but if there's a guy you want saying good things about your team, this is a guy. Like, don't make him a Carson Palmer type. Like, he's a historical franchise player. He's the best defensive player they've had. Gosh, who was the last one? Like, he might be the best this century. Am I missing Geno Atkins? So, either way, he's a top 5 guy, right? It's just, it drives me insane. You can't just look at the sack numbers and say, well, that's it. Like, the Bengals, you got to be a little bit more of a business as well. A few more good seasons. I mean, I think he's at 77 career sacks right now. Could get Hall of Fame consideration. Again, this is a guy, if you're going to trust someone to keep up the level of play he's been at, isn't this the guy? I mean, just the risk to me seems so small. It's probably going to be, he said that as far as the years go, as far as the total money goes, they're on the same page. He wants the guaranteed money. So I think the risk with this guy is so small. Again, every big any contract is a risk, but especially the big ones. But at this point, there's not really less of a risk than Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, he's getting older. Yeah, he gets banged up from time to time, but he plays through it. You're sure as hell not drafting anyone who can rush the passer. I just don't get it. I would say the T. Higgins contract is more risky than what you would be giving Trey Hendrickson, because we've seen T get beat up and have to miss, 3 or 4 games a year. And I like the T contract. I'm glad T's in Cincinnati. He's could be an all-time guy as well. I just don't, I can't get the reasoning here on why they just can't, pardon me, can't get it done. I mean, playing banged up. Contract dispute. He's hanging out on the sidelines with the Bengals logo all over him. It's a small risk for an elite player. In a world of Myles Garrett's and TJ Watts, you're paying him a tenth of what they're making despite the fact he's the same age and putting up the same numbers. And by the way, there's something I haven't even got into yet, which you may have noticed. The Cincinnati Bengals defense sucks. It's not good. And here you are with one of the elite defensive players in the league saying, yeah, I want to be in Cincinnati. Just pay me the market value. And you won't do it? I mean, you know how many teams out there would love it if Trey Hendrickson was knocking on the door and saying, yeah, I want to play for you guys. I mean, he would get signed in 10 minutes. And here you have the Bengals, not a big market team, not historically a franchise that guys flock to. He comes there from New Orleans. Now look, yeah, he came there to get paid, but he's right there. You got double-digit sacks guaranteed. And you're only giving him $8 million guaranteed this year? I get and look, his base salary's bigger than that. He'll make, let's see here. He wants the guaranteed money. Where you at here, Trey? So overall, 21. Yeah, he'll get $21 million this year if everything goes well. But he's trying to protect himself. He's only got 8 guaranteed. And you have every reason to believe that he is going to do the things necessary to give you more than that, right? I mean, I'm looking at Sport Track here. You've got him at $8 million guaranteed, and then I mean, Myles Murphy's getting $12 million this year. It's just, or $12 million fully guaranteed from his contract. He's got 8 guaranteed left. It's pretty simple. I get it. I get that, that the Bengals have traditionally said, post 30, we're not going to bring you back. At some point, you got to realize times are changing. Guys are taking better care of themselves. This is a guy who has been everything you could have want when you signed him away from New Orleans 5 years ago or whatever it was. At some point, you got to trust, here's the reason you brought him here. You got to trust that he's still that guy. He is still that guy. He's better. He has overachieved every single season. I don't know what else you could want. And look, you can almost, I was thinking about this when I'm watching him out there at training camp, telling the young guys how to do it. I mean, he's essentially an extra coach for you as well, which is something you can use on defense. I just don't know what else you want. And if you don't want to pay your start players, you damn sure better well learn to draft some on the defensive line, which you haven't been able to do. Just does not make any sense to me. Can't draft D-line, don't want to pay the ones you get. You are great at drafting wide receivers, and you go ahead and pay them. That was kind of my argument for why you could let T walk, or not, you don't want to let him walk, but you would want to trade him. You're awesome. The Bengals are awesome at drafting wide receivers. We saw more of it. I mean, Charlie Jones looks really good. I'm not saying he's T. Higgins, but when you've got Jamar Chase, you can afford to do those other things. It's just, the Bengals are stacked at receiver. We saw it the other night with Mitchell Tinsley. And again, I'm not saying he should be wide receiver 2 for the Bengals, but they're so good in that department. And then they draft, they develop, they pay. You're not good at drafting defensive linemen and developing them. So you're going to have to pay the ones that someone else develops. Trey Hendrickson is that guy. A lot of those big money contracts people give out to guys like Trey when they did it a few years back don't work out. This one did. You have an elite pass rusher who wants to be on your team. It's just a bad look. It's a bad decision. They should. I harped on it last year. I thought letting DJ Reader go was a bad decision. And I think a lot of what you saw on defense maybe proved that. Learn from your mistakes. Make your best employees happy. This is business 101. Why does everything have to be so difficult? Think of all the time they spent between, and by the way, I still think Trey Hendrickson's going to get this deal done. But think of all the time they spent between Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart this offseason, being and moaning. What are all the other things this franchise could have accomplished in that time frame? With all the hours spent on those two things over little, the tiniest details. It's not an efficient way to go about things. It's just, the Bengals are constantly, it feels like, I don't know, are you on a hamster wheel? That's not the best analogy. It's 6:54 a.m. Bear with me. It's frustrating, though. I mean, he's probably, you see how bad this defense looks in the preseason. And again, we'll get into that in a second, but it's not 1999 anymore. You don't have to worry about him turning 32 and needing a wheelchair. Anyways, that's that. I spent a lot of time thinking about that. Going over why is Trey Hendrickson not getting paid? What are the reasons not to do it? I can't come up with one. The only half I can come up with is, he gets banged up a lot, but he always plays through it. He's always out there when you need him. He's missed a series or two and then come back in at the end of the game to try and stop the offense as they march down the field and kick a field goal to beat you. It's frustrating. We'll see if something gets done. I still think it will get done. I really do. Again, that's something else that makes it frustrating. You guys typically get these things done, the Bengals do. So why drag this out and waste all that time? Think of all the time they've spent arguing with his agent, with Shamar's agent, with Jamar's agent. What else could you have been doing in that time frame? Probably something to make the team better. Probably something to ensure that you don't have an all-world quarterback yet miss the playoffs. It's just not an efficient way to practice business. I sound like such a nerd when I say that. Okay, that's that. So if you're unclear now, I do think the Bengals should re-sign, or not re-sign, he's already signed. They should tear up that contract, give him a new one. Probably a 3-year, $100 million extension, somewhere in that range. I think that's what my guy, Andre Parada, said on Twitter, which I am back on. It's just, you know how it is out there. So, anyways, let's get into the preseason a little bit. Bengals played on Monday night at Washington. Trey Hendrickson was there on the sidelines. Just a few quick things on that. I'll give you 3 quick takes on that. First one I touched on a little bit already. This team, and look, I sit here and complain, we are living in the golden age of Bengals football, which is why it makes it so frustrating that this team is seemingly playing with one arm tied behind its back when it comes to the front office. They're amazing at evaluating and developing wide receivers. Mitchell Tinsley looked awesome on Monday night. Charlie Jones, I mentioned, looked great. Here's my thing. I wonder, you see the Eagles making little deals. I think they've made 2 trades in the preseason, one for John Mechie, the other one I don't remember. But they're a team. I'm actually holding the Super Bowl 52 ball right now, Philadelphia Eagles, if you can see it on there. They're a team that is always doing these little things to get an edge, always doing these little things to upgrade maybe this position from a D+ to a C. I look at the Bengals wide receiver depth. Again, this is something the front office could be doing right now. Could you try to flip one of these guys? Could you try to maybe get a 6th rounder out of someone? Because you can't put all these guys on the field. You've already got Jamar, you've got T. No one's taking snaps from them. Mike Gesicki is going to be in the slot as much as anyone. After that, you got Yoshi. You still got Jermaine Burton. And if you got Charlie Jones and you got Tinsley making the roster, if you can get a 6th rounder somewhere, if you can get a depth guy somewhere, do you do that? Again, it's probably not going to happen. But I'm sitting here thinking you got all these holes. You got these great receivers, right? great is a stretch for the bottom, but like Mitchell Tinsley, I think could play in the league. We've seen that before, right? That's the Victor Cruz story. Like, if you're a guy, or if you're a team right now that needs a wide receiver, are you not willing to flip a 6th-round pick for him? Maybe even a 5? Him or Charlie Jones or someone? Like, if I'm the Bengals, I'm hoping, and they're not. That's what's frustrating. But I would hope they would pick up the phone and say, hey, here's a defensive lineman. I mean, that's how BJ Hill ended up in Cincinnati, right? They're like, this isn't working out with Billy Price. Let's put him off somewhere else. And they end up landing a really important piece to this team in BJ Hill. I just wonder if they can do the same with one of the receivers, if they would spend more time on that and less time on not paying Trey Hendrickson and arguing with his agent. They're just loaded at receiver, and I think you got to try and do something with that. Whether or not they will, I doubt it, but it'd be awesome if they did. Number 2 here, and if they don't it's the defense. I've got a lot of notes here. How much worse can it get? And look, I understand like TJ Slayton comes out and says, we're playing base stuff. We're not really showing anything. They're still just getting blown off the ball. And if the defense had been good last year or even respectable last year, it might be easy to say, all right, well, it's the preseason, whatever, but it looks the same as it did last year. You got a quarterback in the preseason running over your hard-hitting starting safety, and maybe Jordan Battle pulls up because he doesn't want to hurt Jaden Daniels. I get that. I respect that. But man, you guys got to show something. Like, it was just bad. It was bad once again. And, I like the Al Golden hire. There's no reason to not trust that he's going to get things better. And that's all they need to be is better. They need to be like in the top 3 quarters instead of that bottom quarter. Like, this team can do a lot if their defense is ranked like 19th this year, even like 2021. I think they're a team that could make a run, but doesn't look good, right? But we'll see. I mean, it's hard. I know they're coming out and saying, we're just running our simple stuff. We're not showing anything. You're still getting blown off the ball, and that's not great. You still had a rookie running back just light you up. Third and final thing, and everyone's saying this, but I love what I'm seeing from Dylan Fairchild. 3rd-round rookie from Georgia, probably going to start at left guard, should start at left guard. They desperately need, and again, I spent most of this episode kind of being mad at the Bengals for not re-signing or extending Trey Hendrickson. Like, they desperately need to find some guys like him who do not cost a lot of money and can give you quality play. And right now, again, it's preseason, so even the good stuff is pretty much as irrelevant as the bad stuff, right? Things are going to change when you're lining up against the big boys and the starters for however many snaps a game. But Dylan Fairchild's checked every box. It's awesome. This offensive line, I mean, if they stay healthy, I feel really good about 4 of the 5 positions right now. Haven't been able to say that in a long time. That's pretty great. Like, if he can work out, if Amarius Mims stays healthy, if Ted Karras can give us a couple more good seasons, all the reasons in the world to think he will be able to, and we know what we're getting out of Orlando Brown, you got to feel all right about this offensive line. Now, thing that sucks is they got to go up against Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, guys we mentioned in this show, Roquan Smith, who will, hit Joe Burrow 7 yards out of bounds and not get a flag for it on several times. Dylan Fairchild's the kind of guy who might go over there and put him in a chokehold. So, like what we've seen out of him, the offensive line in general, I don't even like to say it, but they look pretty solid. 4 of the 5 positions look pretty solid. And over on that right guard spot, it could be better. They've been talking to Dalton. I can't remember his last name. It is 7 a.m. Why can I not remember his name? Dalton Reisner. And again, in the NFL, it's easy for us to sit here and say, the offensive line's struggling. Everyone's offensive line's struggling. If you get 4 out of 5 positions being pretty good and right guard, not the deodorant, but the position on the football field is the one that's not doing great, that's fine. So good to see that. Getting my hopes up there. And that's all I got. So I was going to do an AFC North little preview today. I'll do that sometime, maybe later this week. These will start coming out more regularly. It is August 20th. We are only 15 days away from that opener between the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Nice to see the NFC East get some national TV time. Never get to see them. But next time I'm going to talk about the AFC North. This is a division that sent 2 teams to the playoffs in 5 straight seasons. That's pretty impressive. Obviously, the Bengals have been there twice and have gone to the AFC Championship at least in 2 of those times. And we've had a team in the AFC Championship 3 of the last 4 seasons. It was almost 4 straight, Mark Andrews. But we saw how that went. I guess that only would have taken it to overtime. The Bills still could have won. So yeah, that's going to be that. Next episode, I'm going to try to figure it out. The podcast is called In the Jungle. My name is Matt Edwards. Hope you'd have enjoyed the show. If you did, tell a friend. And if you didn't, thanks for sticking around and checking it out for the last 25 minutes or whatever it's been. All right, we'll see you again soon. I'm Matt Edwards. Hoo day forever. Have a great week.